Hospitals are built to save lives, but walk through their halls late at night and you may start to wonder if they also collect something else. This story doesn't begin with a death. It begins with a mistake. At least, that's what it was called in the report. October 1998, a small regional hospital in upstate New York. Rain hammered the windows for hours. Phone lines flickered. Power dipped twice before midnight. Carla Baines, 28 years old, in her first year of night shift rotation, clocked in just before 11 p.m. Her supervisor was late. The handover from the evening shift was rushed. Nothing seemed wrong, yet. But as you listen, ask yourself, if you were in her shoes, would you have stayed? Room 236, second floor, quiet wing, a few recovery patients, mostly post-op. Nothing critical, nothing unusual. The chart said male, elderly, early 80s by estimation. Unresponsive to questions, advanced cognitive decline, diagnosis, late-stage Alzheimer's. Brought in by paramedics after being found walking down Route 14 barefoot in the rain. No wallet, no ID, just a hospital bracelet from another facility, one that had closed 3 years prior. No known address, no next of kin. No one had come forward. No one ever would. The staff took to calling him John Doe, a placeholder name, sure, but after a few days it felt like it fit. Carla Baines had only just started doing overnights. Her first few weeks had gone smoothly. She liked the quiet, less chaos, more time to think. John Doe was one of her patients. She'd taken his vitals 3 times. Each time she noted the same things: low pulse, thin frame, no signs of injury, but something else stuck with her, something harder to quantify. He would look at her, but not through her. Not the vacant gaze you expect from someone slipping away. His eyes followed her. His lips moved once. She thought he was trying to speak. When she leaned in, he stopped. Silent. Still. The kind of silence that feels full. It was a stormy night. Cold front had rolled in around 10 p.m. Rain rattled the high windows. Power dipped once, then again. At 1:12 a.m., Carla was finishing her log entries near the end of the corridor, just outside room 236. She paused. The door, it was open, just a few inches, nothing dramatic, but earlier she had closed it herself. She was sure of it. Doors in that hallway didn't open on their own. The weight distribution kept them shut unless pushed. She stared at it, waited, no sound. Maybe housekeeping forgot to latch it after taking out the linen. She stepped forward, slow, barely audible footsteps against the tile. As she reached the doorway, it moved. Not fast, not loud, just enough. Just enough for her to see the foot of the bed. Just enough to feel the hairs rise on the back of her neck. The bed was empty, sheets turned down, gown discarded on the floor. One side of the mattress still visibly indented. Still warm, and suddenly she's doing the math. The doors are heavy, the patient is frail, the hallway is cold. He couldn't have gone far. But if he left... Why didn't she hear anything? She called out, soft at first. Mr. Doe, nothing. She glanced toward the call button, unpressed. The bathroom, empty. Closet? Undisturbed. No wheelchair, no walker, no assistance requested, just gone. At this point, I want to ask you something directly. What would you do? Would you assume he simply walked off? That maybe you missed something, a noise, a call light, a request? Or would you stop and listen, not with your ears, but with your instincts? Because that's what Carla did. She didn't move right away. She stood in that room for nearly a minute, and she felt it. Not fear, not quite. More like a presence. The subtle weight of being observed. And yet there was no one there. Just the faint scent of antiseptic, the soft hum of the ceiling light, and the quiet realization that something wasn't right. Now let me ask you this. If you found an empty bed that should have held a patient physically incapable of navigating the hallways alone, would your first thought be that he got up and walked out? Or that someone or something else was involved, that perhaps the room didn't just lose its occupant, it let him out? Tell me in the comments, what would your first instinct have been? Not after thinking it through, not after talking to a supervisor, but in that exact moment, Just you, the door, and the empty bed. Would you have gone looking? Or would you have backed away? Because what Carla did next changed everything. Bathroom, empty. Toilet lit up. Sink untouched. Towel still folded. The mirror was fogged slightly, but only from the hospital's airflow, not from use. No sign of anyone having been there. No moisture on the floor. No trace of movement. Closet untouched. Still latched. Linens folded. Gown supplies stacked perfectly. No second gown missing. No clothing out of place. Carla scanned every inch. Slowly, methodically, her training kicking in. Then she paused. Her eyes were drawn downward. Just beyond the threshold of the room, on the pale green tile, a trail, bare footprints, not scuffed from shoes, not smudged from socks, bare, skin-to-tile contact. Still slightly wet, you could see the tread lines, the contours of toes, the faint streaks from where moisture had evaporated at the edges. And here's the part that never made it into the official report. The footprints didn't lead back into the room. Only out. She moved into the hallway. The prints continued, not hurried, not scattered, deliberate, one after the next, each about 2 feet apart, as if the person was walking calmly. But why calmly? He was ill, disoriented, barefoot, in a restricted hospital zone, in the middle of a stormy night, and yet the trail showed no signs of panic. Carla followed them down the corridor. Her walk was slower than usual. Every few steps she paused, listening. But the silence was heavier now, not just quiet. Oppressive. You know how some spaces hold silence like a pause? This felt more like the silence was waiting for something. The trail led to a corridor blocked off on both ends. The West Wing. That part of the hospital hadn't been active in months. Renovation notices had gone out early that year. Water damage, wiring updates, ceiling tiles removed. No patients assigned. No staff posted beyond 8 p.m. Technically, the power was supposed to be off past midnight, but as Carla turned the corner, she saw them. The lights, fluorescence, flickering, intermittently. Not all of them, just a few. Enough to give that effect where the hallway seems to strobe in slow, uneven beats. A few bulbs blinked slowly, like tired eyes trying to stay open. Others buzzed faintly, that brittle metallic hum of age. And here's where the temperature changed. She didn't imagine it. Later, the maintenance team would log the data. The ambient temperature dropped 12 degrees in less than 40 minutes. No explanation, no open vents, no fans, no windows breached, just cold. That thin, dry cold that clings to your sleeves and seeps into your skin without warning. Carla felt it immediately. She reached up, pressing her fingers to her neck. Goosebumps had already risen. Her breath misted slightly as she exhaled. Something about that corridor. It didn't feel abandoned. It felt paused, held in place. She took a breath and called out, just loud enough to carry but not echo. "Mr. Doe?" Silence. A few more steps forward. The footprints veered left into a shadowed side passage. Carla stopped, listened, then, clear, crisp, impossible to mistake. A voice. "I can't sleep." She froze. No distortion, no echo, no PA system. Just a voice in the air, about 10 to 12 feet ahead of her. Male, raspy, calm. "I can't sleep. It's too loud here." She'd heard that voice before, 3 days earlier, when she checked his blood pressure. He said it just like that, too loud, as if the quiet was filled with noise only he could hear. But now he was gone. Now he was talking again, from inside a sealed section of the hospital, barefoot, with no visible way of getting in or out. Carla turned the corner quickly. A rush of instinct, her training overtaken by something more primal, the need to see what shouldn't be seen. But the hallway was empty, no man, no movement. Just another flickering bulb above a closed maintenance room door. And the trail of footprints, gone. Vanished as if they had evaporated mid-step. No smear, no fade, they simply stopped, right in front of her. "So I'll ask you again, if you were standing there, just you, the cold, and a voice you know you heard, would you keep going? Would you look inside the room, or would you take one step back? Just one." Because what Carla did next would leave her questioning everything she thought she knew about her job. and about the places we build to heal. Security arrived minutes later. 2 guards from the overnight team. Standard procedure for a missing patient, especially one considered high risk. They began a full sweep of the second floor, room by room, restroom stalls, storage closets, stairwells, even the service elevator shaft. They brought a 3rd guard from the ground floor to check the main exits. All camera monitored, all alarmed, nothing, no movement, no exits tripped, no security alerts, not even a motion light set off in the stairwell. It was as if the man had disappeared, not just from the room, but from the building. Carla returned to room 236. She was expecting chaos, torn sheets, traces of a struggle, some evidence that someone had left in a hurry. Instead, the bed was made, flawlessly, corners tucked, pillows aligned, gown replaced. It was as if the bed had never been used that night. Her hand trembled as she picked up the clipboard at the foot of the bed. The chart had been updated. Time stamped 11:43 p.m. Discharged. But she had taken his vitals at midnight. She remembered it with absolute clarity. She had logged his BP, 118/70, noted slight dehydration, recommended he be monitored. She had even made a small note about his demeanor alert. Calm, whispered something about noise. How could he have been discharged before that? The ink was still fresh on her entry. Her supervisor arrived just after 2 a.m. He listened, skimmed the log, looked over the discharge note. Then he shook his head. You probably logged the wrong room, he said. It happens. He was discharged before your shift started. File says so. That's all that matters. She insisted. She pointed to her note. She described the interaction in detail. He glanced over the form again, then sighed. Sometimes files don't update right away. He might have seen the room after housekeeping, or it was someone else. Doesn't matter. He's gone now. He said it like it was over, like it was all explainable, like her memory could be folded up, boxed, and filed away. But Carla didn't make those kinds of mistakes. She wasn't uncertain. She wasn't tired. She knew what she'd seen. She knew what she'd heard. And she wasn't the only one. The janitor came forward later that morning. Early shift. Around 6 a.m. he was filling out a report on a faulty sink in the cafeteria when he paused and looked over toward the security desk. I thought I saw that guy, he said. Security looked up. Which guy? The old man, the one who walks real slow. He described him in full gray hair, thin frame, pale, same gown they issued to long-term observation patients. The janitor said he saw him inside the elevator, heading down, sometime after 2:30 a.m. 2:30? Carla asked. Yeah, he nodded. I remember because I had just clocked in late. Saw him in there. I said, hey sir, are you all right? And he just turned to me. Carla pressed him. Did he say anything? The janitor hesitated. Then he nodded slowly. Yeah. He said, this time I'm leaving for good. There was a pause in the room. No one responded right away. The janitor continued. I figured he was being transferred, or maybe confused. You know how some of them are. Carla felt her chest tighten, her pulse rise, because those weren't the words of someone confused. They were deliberate, clear, resolved. This time, like he'd tried to leave before. Leaving for good. As if the hospital itself had kept him there. Not policies, not staff. Something else. Security pulled the elevator footage. The second floor camera showed Carla entering room 236 just after 1:10 a.m. Then the screen showed her standing still for nearly 2 minutes, speaking, but the bed was empty. The side hallway camera picked up nothing. The elevator camera? Offline. Corrupted file. No backup available. Glitch, they said. Just a glitch. Let me ask you, how many glitches do you accept before you start asking harder questions? Would one missing patient be enough? One corrupted file? Or do you wait until the same figure appears again, in the same hallway on a different night? Because that's not the end of John Doe's story. Not even close. They pulled the footage. Multiple angles. Time-coded. Synced. Standard protocol whenever there's a patient anomaly. The main hallway camera clearly showed Carla approaching room 236 at 1:10 a.m. She pauses outside for a few seconds, her body language calm. Unhurried. Then she enters the room. Another camera, mounted in the upper right corner of room 236, captures the bed in full view. The frame is clean. Nothing obstructs the shot. The bed is visible, untouched, the entire time. There's no patient, no motion, just Carla, standing beside it, facing it, not just glancing in, not doing a quick check. She stands there for nearly 2 minutes. Her lips move, her head tilts slightly. She's clearly speaking. She even gestures once, a subtle nod. A step back as if giving someone space, but the footage shows no one else in that room, no shadows, no movement behind her, no second figure, just her. Speaking to something or someone the camera cannot see. Security reviewed it several times. They brought in a second pair of eyes, then a third. Same result. No patient ever appears in that room. The motion sensor data for the bed confirms it. No registered wait during that time frame. Even though Carla wrote down vitals, even though she recorded his pulse, even though she noted his exact words, nothing. Then came the final detail, the discharge form. It was printed and time-stamped at 11:43 p.m., well before Carla began her shift, well before she entered the room. Her supervisor brushed it off. Someone must have processed it early, filed it before he was fully prepped for release. Happens sometimes. Carla didn't buy it, and when she flipped the form over to verify the authorizing physician, she froze, signed clearly at the bottom, Dr. Jonathan Halden. The name meant something. Everyone recognized it. He'd been a trauma surgeon there for 8 years. Respected, calm, detail-oriented. But he had resigned 6 months earlier, not transferred, not reassigned, fully resigned. No forwarding hospital, no new license activity on record. There was no way he'd been in the hospital that night. And yet, his signature was there, ink identical to the kind used at every nurse's station. No signs of forgery. No evidence it had been tampered with. The form was real, so were the patient's discharge initials. And yet, no one had seen the man leave. No exit records. No logged escort, no release notes, just the form, and the memory Carla could not shake. So let me ask you this honestly. At what point does a clerical error become something else? How many details have to align, too perfectly, too impossibly, before the story you're told stops making sense? When does a coincidence cross the line? Into evidence? Let me know what you think, because the story doesn't end here. If anything, this is the moment it truly begins. Carla left the hospital 2 years later. She told HR she needed a change of pace, a different career path, something with more daylight and less silence. But the truth? She never worked a night shift again. Not in any hospital, not in any clinic. She moved 3 states away, took up a role in pediatric care, daytime only, private practice, the fluorescent hallways, the overnight monitors, the unblinking stillness of 3 a.m. She left all of that behind. Or tried to. One evening, over dinner with her sister, the conversation turned, as it sometimes does, to strange memories. Carla was quiet, pushing peas around her plate. Then she said, almost casually, "I still dream about that room." Her sister looked up. "The one with the patient?" "No," Carla said, "not him." She paused, thought carefully. "Just the room." She described it. The pale green walls, the chipped corner of the window ledge, the single light above the bed that never fully turned off. In her dreams, the bed is always made, the door always just slightly open. She never sees anyone inside, just the hum of the overhead light, and then, without fail, the creak. That slow, deliberate creak of the door widening, then nothing. She always wakes up before she sees what's behind it. Today, room 236 is still operational. Repurposed, repainted, reassigned. The records don't mention anything unusual, just routine patient flow, standard treatments, nothing out of the ordinary. But nurses talk, especially night nurses. And in the past 5 years alone, 2 separate staff members, each on unrelated shifts, filed quiet, unofficial reports. Both said the same thing. A man, thin, elderly, in a standard issue gown, walking slowly down the west corridor, not staggering, not confused, just moving, deliberate, straight-backed, as if he knew where he was going. Both times the nurses called out to him. Neither time did he respond. He never turned, never acknowledged them. He just kept walking into a corridor that by then had no active rooms. No assigned staff. One nurse tried to follow. She turned the corner. Nothing, just empty hall. No doors opened, no footsteps, no sound. But on the tile, outside room 236. Footprints, bare, damp, still glistening. No explanation, no source, just footprints. And no one to claim them. What happens when the room itself seems to react? Coming up, a room sealed for over a decade. Screams reported every night. Staff assigned there refused to return. You'll want to hear what they found on the audio log. Stay with me.